The first time you seriously think about firing someone, that's when you should do it. Not the third time, not after 6 more months of hoping they'll improve the first time. I know that sounds harsh, but I've fired dozens of people across multiple businesses, from startups to restructurings. The biggest mistake I see founders make: waiting too long. Holding on to the wrong employee for too long can kill your business. It tanks team morale, it drains your cash, and it signals to everyone else that mediocrity is acceptable. I see founders make this mistake constantly. They know someone isn't working out, but they're paralyzed. They don't know how to have that conversation. They're afraid of a morale hit. They keep hoping things will magically improve. I get it, firing someone is brutal. But the thing is, I've been on both sides. In the trenches, fighting day to day. On the investor side, I've had to fire dozens of people over the years, from underperformance to entire departments during restructurings. What I learned is that the cost of waiting is always higher than the cost of acting. Today, I'm going to give you the complete framework: when to fire, how to prepare, the exact script to use, and how to handle the aftermath. This is everything I wish someone had told me before my first difficult termination. Let's get into it. Here's where we're going in this video. Think of this as your complete playbook. We'll hit several checkpoints. The first one, when to fire. The 3 strikes, reality check that tells you it's actually time to act. Checkpoint 2, how to prepare. The 5 critical steps you must take before the conversation. Checkpoint 3, the conversation. The exact script I've used to terminate employees word for word. Checkpoint 4, the aftermath. How to communicate with your team, handle the transition, and protect company morale. Checkpoint 5, the bigger lesson. Why this decision makes you a better leader, not a worse one. By the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to handle this difficult conversation with confidence and integrity. And if you're facing this decision right now, you're going to feel a lot more prepared. Let's start with the first question. How do you know it's actually time? Let me tell you something that I learned the hard way, and it's probably going to make you uncomfortable. The first time you seriously think about firing someone, that's when you should do it. Not the third time, not after you've given them 6 more months. The first time the thought enters your head in a serious way, that's when it's already time. Now, I'm not talking about fleeting frustration after one bad day. I'm talking about when you're lying in bed at night thinking, I don't think this is going to work. When you find yourself working around them instead of with them. When you're mentally calculating what the team would look like without them. That moment, that's your instinct telling you something that your rational brain doesn't want to accept. Here's what happens to most founders. They ignore that instinct. They think, maybe I'm being too harsh. Let me give them another quarter. Maybe they're just going through something. And I get it. Firing someone feels cruel. So we rationalize. We focus on all the reasons not to fire them. The team will be upset, we'll have to rehire and retrain. What if we can't find someone better? They're a nice person. Yeah, but there's a problem with that thinking. You're making the decision based on the cost of firing them, not the value they're bringing to the company. That's backwards. When you're deciding whether to keep someone, there's only one question that actually matters. Is this person creating more value than they're consuming? And I don't mean just their salary. I mean, are they making the team better or worse? Are they moving critical projects forward or creating work for others? Are they raising the bar or lowering it? Would your best employees be upset if this person left, or would they be relieved? If you're honest with yourself and the answer is they're consuming more than they're creating, whether that's time, energy, money, or morale, the decision is already made. You're just delaying the inevitable. And my experience, every week you delay costs you more than you think. Here's what waiting actually costs you. And I've seen this play out dozens of times. 1, your best people get frustrated. They're carrying extra weight because someone else isn't pulling theirs, or they're having to deal with the fact that you're working around that particular colleague. And the best people always have options. They leave. Number 2, standards drop. If someone can underperform without consequences, that becomes the new standard. Other people unconsciously start to match that energy. 3, you lose time. Every week you spend managing around this person, having conversations about this person, redoing their work. That's time that you're not spending on growth, strategy and your A players. You're losing runway. Number 4, it gets harder. The longer someone's been there and the more awkward it feels to fire them. So you wait longer, which makes it even harder. It's a vicious cycle. I've done restructurings where we've had to let go 20, 30 people at once. And you know what? Almost every time the CEO said the same thing afterwards: we should have done this 6 months ago. Never once I heard I acted too quickly. Now, I'm not saying you should fire someone impulsively. There is still a process, mostly for legal protection. Here's the minimum bar. Strike 1, the serious thought. You've had the serious thought that this person should be let go. Not a bad day, persistent concern. Strike 2, you can articulate why. You can write down specifically why they're not adding enough value. They've missed deadlines on 4 out of 5 projects. Their work requires constant attention by senior colleagues. They've created conflict with 3 different team members. Whatever it is, it's documented. Strike 3, you've given direct feedback. You've had at least one conversation where you said very clearly, this specific thing needs to change, or we're going to have some changes ourselves. That simple, that direct. If you've hit all 3, you're not being impulsive, you're being decisive. And that's what your company needs. That's your job actually is. The only exception, and this is critical, I think, is if there's an external factor that's temporary and it's fixable. Maybe they're dealing with a family emergency and you genuinely believe that they'll bounce back in 30 days. That's fine. Set a clear deadline and check in with them, make sure they're okay. There's work and there's life. And I think in certain circumstances, work needs to make space for life. But if the reason you're keeping them is fear of conflict, fear of being the bad guy, fear of the hassle of replacing them, that's not a good enough reason. You owe it to the people who are performing to make the hard call. All right, you've made the decision. Now let's talk about how to actually prepare for this conversation, because this is where most founders screw up. Okay, you've decided it's time. Now let's talk about how to actually prepare for this conversation, because most of the work happens before you sit down with them. Here are the 5 things you must do before the meeting. Step 1 is always talk to an employment lawyer. I'm serious. Even if you're a 3-person startup, one consultation can save you $200,000 in wrongful termination suit. They'll tell you what documentation you need, what can you do legally, what can you say, what severance package makes sense. If you skip this step, you're gambling with your company, especially important in Europe and Germany. France, I've also seen serious problems. In my experience, that's where you have to be very careful. Step 2 is to prepare your documentation. You need some kind of paper trail. Performance reviews, emails, outlined expectations, meeting notes, Slack or WhatsApp messages where you gave feedback. If you're thinking, I don't have any of that, that's a problem. It doesn't mean you can't fire them, but it means you're in a weaker legal position and you need to be extra careful. Step 3, plan the logistics. This sounds cold, but you need to think it through. When will you do this? Monday morning is best. It gives them the week to process and start their job search. Never fire someone on a Friday. That's just cruel. Who else needs to be in the room? In the US, some states require a witness. Your lawyer will tell you that. I think it's better not to be alone. How will you handle their access? Be ready to disable their email, their access to all systems immediately after the conversation. Not because you don't trust them, it's just standard protocol and protects everyone. What are you offering for severance? This depends on the country you're in, but in my experience, it would always cost you, and it's not worth wasting nerves and stressing about paying as little as possible. A little generosity goes a long way. It buys goodwill and often gets them to sign a release. Remember, it's a much larger impact on them than it is on the company usually. Step 4, write down what you're going to say, word for word. That is not the time to wing it. They're going to be emotional. You need a script so you don't say something you'll regret or something that's legally risky. I'll give you the exact script in a minute. And step 5, know how you'll transition their work. Who's taking over their projects? What's the communication plan for the team, for your clients? And you need all these answers before the meeting. All right, here's the part that everyone dreads, the actual conversation. I'm going to give you the exact script I've used. You can adapt it, but the structure matters. So this is how it's going to go. Hey, employee, thank you for meeting with me. I'm going to get straight to the point because I respect you too much to make this awkward. Today is going to be the last day with the company. I've made the decision to let you go. Notice what I said here. I got to the point in 10 seconds. No small talk, no how's your weekend. That's just torture. I used I've made the decision, not we or the team or the company. You own this. And I said let you go, not fired. It's weaker, but it still gets the message across. The reason is that despite our conversations over the past however long, we haven't seen the improvement we need in the specific area. And we talked about this on whatever date and again on date so and I gave you clear goals. Unfortunately, we're not where we need to be, and I don't think more time is going to change that. So what I did here, you reference the prior conversations and the specific performance issue. Keep it factual, don't editorialize, don't say you're not a good fit or this isn't going to work out. It's just too vague and it feels personal, and you don't want that. And whatever you do not debate this decision. You're not asking for their input, you're informing them. If they push back, you say, I understand this is difficult, but the decision is final. So then you say, here's what happens next. Your last day is today. We're going to provide severance details, weeks of pay, months, bonus, or whatever. We'll also give you a letter of recommendation, if you'd like, focused on specific strengths they have. In terms of your company accounts, we'll be deactivating those today. That's just standard protocol. If there's anything personal on your laptop, let's get that now, and then you're gonna need that laptop back. Do you have any questions about the logistics? So now you've given them the facts, you've made it clear what they're getting, you're offering something, a reference letter, severance, so it doesn't feel purely punitive, and you're staying professional. Then comes the close, whatever name. I want you to know this does not define your career. You have real strengths, and give them a genuine compliment. And I think you're going to find a place where those skills are a better fit. I'm sorry it didn't work out here, but I genuinely wish you the best. That's it. You want to end on a human note. They're going to remember how this felt. If you can be kind without patronizing, do it. It costs you nothing, and it might save you from a Glassdoor review that tortures your recruiting. Then you stand up, shake their hand, and if they'll take it. And then you walk them out. You keep it short, don't linger. The longer it goes, the worse it gets. All right, so now they're gone, you're emotionally drained, but your job isn't over. Here's what you do next. Within an hour, max, you need to tell the team. So if you don't, they'll fill the vacuum with rumors. Here's what you can say during the team meeting. You can say, hey everyone, I want to let you know that name is no longer with the company as of today. I can't share the details out of respect for their privacy, but I want to be transparent that this was a decision I made after careful consideration. Name XYZ. Responsibilities will be handled by this team member in the short term, and we will figure out longer term solutions together. If you have any questions, my door is always open. Keep it respectful, don't badmouth the person, and don't overshare. If this person interacted with customers or partners, you need a communication plan. Usually it's name XYZ has moved on to pursue other opportunities, and new contact will be your point of contact going forward. Simple, professional, no drama. And finally, this is the part where most founders skip. You should debrief with yourself. Ask, what did I miss in the hiring process? Did I give them the tools to succeed? Did I communicate clearly enough? And could I have acted sooner? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about learning so you don't repeat the same mistake. Here's what I wish someone had told me before my first firing. Firing someone doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a leader. Your job as a founder isn't to make everyone happy. It's to build a company that works. And sometimes that means making decisions that hurt in the short term, but protect the team and the mission in the long term. The people who stay on your team are watching how you handle this. If you're fair, if you're direct, if you're respectful, they'll trust you more, not less, because they'll know if they underperform, you'll have the courage to tell them honestly instead of letting them fail in silence. But if you avoid this conversation, if you let a low performer drag the team down for months because you're scared of conflict, you lose the respect of your best people and they leave, as we said. So yeah, firing someone sucks, but failing to fire someone when you should, that sucks even more. If you're facing this decision right now, I know it's hard, but you've got this. Follow the process. Be respectful, be clear. And remember, you're not just making a decision about one person, you're setting a standard for your entire company. Taking a tough decision like this takes a lot of confidence. It's about doing the thing you're scared of. Where your fear is, there is your task. If you want to build your confidence, watch this video next.